Hi, it is I, bargain counter argument, a middle-aged lady in a tiara, uh, hosting a live stream. I got a little bit of a late start because I was all ensconced and ready to roll, and I was like, something looks wrong. I had forgotten my tiara. So, Anna, she says, hello, how are you this fine winter day? Improving by the minute. We had a little bit of a household issue this morning. Everybody's fine. Everything's resolved, but it was a lot to deal with early in the morning. That has been taken care of. And then, hi, Lisa, the Lost Coffee Mug. Nice to see you. So, also yesterday, I ran some errands, and Emily Lost in the Library is here saying hi, so hi, Emily. And anyway, yesterday I did some running around. And I went to the library. I was returning 9 books. I had 10 books checked out. I returned 9. And then I kind of went hog wild in the new books section and came home with 20 books. Anyway, then I did some grocery shopping and stuff. And when I came home, Mom Marionette had done gone on the hero's journey of deep cleaning the kitchen. So this morning she was pretty stiff. So I brought her breakfast in bed. It would have been nice if it had just been like pure indulgence, but it was more like she wasn't quite ready to go downstairs, although eventually she made it down. So I went out and I returned some books for her. Emily says, sounds like me when I get to the library. Somebody left a really, really thoughtful comment on my last library on haul video. And she was saying, oh, it's so nice. She was saying, it's so nice to see library books because then you get to see older books. Like she says, everybody's always chasing new books. And I was like, ooh, I have bad news for you. I went to the new bookshelf and hey. Stormy says, hi, might be in and out depending on the breaks I take while cutting wood. Ugh, yeah, what a pain. Listen, says Ana. The books just jumped into your stack, okay? It wasn't really an option. Well, the thing is, too, is that they just recently got a whole bunch of romance series, like, what is the one? I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's one by Catherine Cowles. And it was just like, well, I might like this series. I better check them all out just in case. And then I realized that I hadn't gotten the first one. So I put a hold on that one. And there were the Amy Dawes books, Mountain Men, I think it's called. I know Kristen and B love them. So I thought I'd give them a shot. Although one of them I'm going to return unread because it is a single dad nanny romance. And I, generally speaking, prefer not to read those every once in a while, but generally speaking, not. And Emily says, my husband always makes fun of me for checking out more books than I return. Emily says, I am giving them a home. It's true. I tend to be a net borrower. But then today I went to a different library because we deal with a couple of different library systems. And I went to the other library system. My phone is ringing and I had to ignore my phone. Anyway, I usually have it in the other room. So my mom had a book that was overdue and she had some books on the hold shelf to pick up. So while I was there, I may have done a little bit of browsing, just a little bit, tiny amount of browsing. And I may have picked up the dirty version by Turner Gable Khan, which is about a woman who has written like a feminist bestseller and it's being adapted into a movie, but it's being directed by this dude who's like directs action movies. And he wants the dirty version. And so they are working together on the screenplay adaptation and presumably feelings ensue. It's not very long. It's like 230 pages. So I was like, I pretty much have to, right? Right? Ana says, my sister's birthday was yesterday. Ooh, happy birthday, sister. And she visited Barnes. She purchased a few new goodies, including Praise. And now I want to read it because she was laughing like a loon on the first page. Yeah, Praise was, that's an interesting one. And then I hit the large print section, new books, and got The Summer of You and Me by Denise Hunter. Never read anything by her before, but apparently this widow, so she goes back to the place where her late husband and she became childhood sweethearts. And but her brother-in-law, her late husband's brother, has been in love with her all this time. So, but then she sees a guy who could pass for the twin of her late husband, and so there's like, I don't know if this is, I guess it's romantic suspense. I'm here for it. And then this book was actually one that Stormy, and I don't know if she's still here or if she had to go out to cut more wood. This was one of her standalones. She did a really cool thing with her best books of 2025. She separated adult and middle grade because she reads a lot of middle grade. And she not only that, but she separated standalones from series books. So in her best standalones of 2025, she talked about Whistle by Linwood Barclay. And actually, all of her picks for best of 2025 sounded pretty good to me. I happened to see this one while I was out. I was like, oh, I know what that is. I'm going to check that out and read it. So that's what I did. I have in progress Play Nice, a horror novel by Rachel Harrison. So yeah, that's what's going on. And of course, I will be, let's see, family and books. Hi, Sock and Chat, just popping in to boop the like button. Thank you. And I'm trying to remember family and books. I feel like your name starts with a P. Is it Pam? But I'm probably wrong about that. Whistle, says Stormy. Yes, yes. You have influenced me to read this book. Well done. Hi, Paula. That was it. It does start with P. Hi, Paula. I was like, Pamela? That's not right. I knew it wasn't Paige, but okay. So I am ensconced in the big bed today because the last couple of days have been a lot. I finished my huge project of doing a video a day. First I did Vlogmas, and then I pivoted to 12 Days of Christmas because I had so much fun doing Vlogmas. And then yesterday I finished up that video a day series after 37 days. So and 38 videos because there was a bonus in there. So I am like in my feels. Paula says, you were so close, LOL. And then she says, hey, to Storm. So, oh, lots of comments today. Stormy says, have fun. I'm off to play with a chainsaw. Well, now you're making it sound fun. So, yeah. Okay, see you later. I did send invite links to a few people, but I'm not sure to join me on screen. Not sure if anybody's going to be able to take advantage, but, there may be guests. I don't know. It's unpredictable. Anyway, I'm very ensconced in the big bed. And my 10 minutes of yuck is going to be administrative chores, like returning or finding out what that phone call was that I missed. So I think I want to go ahead and do that. For those of you who haven't been to my live streams before, we start off with a 10-minute sprint and the 10 minutes of yuck. And that's the idea, is you can just do something you don't really feel like doing, but know that after 10 minutes you can come back and have good fun times, chat with people. Maybe it's cleaning something, maybe it's making phone calls, paying bills, or whatever it happens to be. You only have to do it for 10 minutes. Anna says, I'm ready to read my Austen book for January. I'm trying to remember which one it was. If this is the read along, I'm pretty sure they're doing Sense and Sensibility first. I'm not participating, but I think that's what the word on the street is. Okay, so we're going to go 10 minutes of yuck. So that'll take us right up to, let's see. I'm going to round it to 20 minutes past the hour. That gives us an extra minute of yuck. So sprinting until 20 minutes past the hour. Put that in the chat, pop that on the screen, and I will see you in 10 minutes or in a bit. And we're back. And we have comments. Gwen was saying that yes, it is Sense and Sensibility. Roxy's Hey Socks popping in to hit that like button. Appreciate it, appreciate it. And speaking of appreciation, Ana is thanking Gwen for verifying that it is, in fact, Sense and Sensibility for the Jane Austen read along. Okay, so let me see. Something's weird here. And whatever, man. Okay, so that's the 10 minutes of yuck. The phone call was, they left a voicemail, and it was nothing I needed to do anything about, which is on a day like this, that's kind of how I like it. So that's resolved. I did a couple of other things, and today I am going to be reading. I'm going to try to finish early. Hopefully, the book has relatively small print, tiny print, because at 7 o'clock tonight, I think it's on B's channel, might be on Tara's channel. It's the reading sprints for Tea and Biscuits Book Club, and special guest author Tracy Sumner will be joining the sprints. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make it because I am just like this far from just like a complete and total cozy collapse, like a good collapse, but still a collapse. So I might not be able to make it. I might have to watch it back later. But I know there are other people in this particular live stream who will probably want to attend that particular live stream. I'm going to try to get done so everybody has time to, have dinner and whatever else they want to do before that live stream. Today's book. So this is prefacing by way of saying I might not actually be able to finish the book today. If I can't, I'll do what I did last time I couldn't finish the book by the end of the live stream and finish it next week. It is The Winter Heart by Lillian Cheatham. This is a bookmark that I got when I got a blind date with a book from Elusive Cowgirl Boutique. Gwen says B is hosting. Yeah. Gwen knows what's what. Appreciate it. And Ana says, I am feeling a bit on the dozy side as well. It's going to be a cozy day for the remainder. Yeah, I'm just kind of tired. It's like I finally finished that big long video a day project and everything, and I'm glad I did it, and I had a good time, and I'm happy with what I accomplished. And at the same time, I'm kind of tired now that I'm done, and then I had to deal with a bunch of stuff yesterday and again today. So I think after we're done here, I am just going to I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm probably going to stay right where I am for at least 12 more hours. Okay, so this bookmark was the included in the beautiful wrapping on the blind date with a book I got from the Elusive Cowgirl Boutique. Pretty pony. Look at the pretty pony. Somewhere I have a pretty pony hanging out with me. Her name is Sylvie, and she has a bright pink bow, and she is a pretty pony. So the book itself is The Winter Heart by Lillian Cheatham. This is a Harlequin Presents from June of 1986, even though it is a winter book, and it is number 888. Woohoo! In some cultures, that's a very, very lucky number. I think 8 is auspicious in the Arabic-speaking world, I want to say. Possibly also in China, or maybe their deal is 4. I don't know. But it is considered very lucky in some places. And this is what it's about. She'd gone from one predicament to another. Meg had taken the blame when her young stepsister, Carol, provoked a tragic accident. Ooh, taking the blame for somebody else. That's, yeah. And in the ensuing publicity, she, and not Carol, had been branded a cheap little adventuress. Hoo-hoo! That's borderline hussy territory. So when novelist Simon Egan offered her a job as his secretary and the chance to escape with him to Colorado, Meg eagerly accepted. Little did she know Simon had been personally involved in that tragedy, and mistaking her for Carol had planned an elaborate revenge. Woo! Why couldn't Meg convince him that he'd chosen the wrong victim? because he's a jackass. And here's the little excerpt. I like our bedroom, Meg said uncertainly. Your bedroom, Simon corrected without emotion. I will occupy the one downstairs. She stared at him, her mind shrinking away from the blunt meaning of his words. There was no mistaking his look of dislike. Because it looked like that. What are you saying, Simon? Her mouth was dry with fear. I don't understand. You understand. You are not a fool, Meg. He eyed her remotely. In a nutshell, I have no intention of consummating our marriage, nor of sharing a bed with you. Not now, not ever. It wasn't an easy decision to make, for I'll admit you turned me on, but not enough, my dear, for the self-disgust I would feel afterward. Hey, for some people, that's part of the appeal. I would appreciate it, Simon, if you don't kick shame. So anyway, this is probably going to be extremely fraught, very problematic, and just darn good Harlequin Presents messy times. I'm going to have to turn on my reading lamp in order to read it, and that will bathe this whole area in way too much light. I'll try to turn the screen away so nobody gets blinded. So that is the story. And unless anybody has anything they want to share in terms of what they're reading or doing today, please do. And I'll give you a couple minutes to type anything you want to share, and then maybe we'll jump into it. Anna says, he sounds like one of the guys I'd add to my ick list. Yes, I am thinking he is giving major, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Oh, what do you call it? It sounds like he's going to be an incel in his own marriage. Let's put it that way. But, this is from June of 1986. So we are talking like, what, 40 years ago? And based on the dialogue and the fact that it takes place in Colorado, I think maybe somebody was watching a little too much Dynasty. Let's see. Lillian Cheatham. She is an American. So, because this is when they were starting to get more and more American writers into Harlequin Presents. Anna says, I'm reading Jurassic Park because I just want to snuggle and chill. It's getting so good. Ooh, I wish I could wave one of my stuffed dinosaurs in front of the camera for you, but they're off doing, I don't know what they're up to, but it's probably it could be wholesome, it could be unwholesome. I don't even know with those guys, but they're not where I can easily reach them and wave them around on camera. So anyway, so let's see. Let's hang out for a couple more minutes and then start the sprint. Lunch today was leftovers. I did the roast leg of lamb. I roasted a leg of lamb on Sunday with some, I also roasted string beans, green beans with mushrooms, and some potatoes and carrots. It was quite tasty. And this is the third time we're having leftovers, and I think now we're probably at about 55% done with it. It was a 5-pound leg of lamb, so there's a lot of food there. And we had that for lunch, and we had it with rice pilaf, and we finished the green beans. So we still have a little bit of potato and carrot left, and a lot of lamb. So much lamb. So, and I actually went to the store to get some of that Ben's Original 90-second microwavable rice because, yeah, I went to the store and picked that up after I went to the library, and I got a couple of cake mixes to make crinkle cookies. I wanted to make cherry chocolate, but they didn't have cherry cake mix. So I just got strawberry and lemon cake mix so I can make strawberry lemon crinkle cookies. I always want to say strawberry lemonade, but they're not. I mean, they're not lemonade. Just, And Anna says, I have a beef tenderloin, and carrots in the slow cooker right now. And I had chicken dumplings with sweet chili sauce for lunch. Ooh, that sounds really good. That all sounds really good. So anyway, so we're going to start a sprint and go until the top of the hour. So sprinting until, So I'll see you all in half an hour and a couple of seconds. And we're back. My goodness. This is exactly the kind of thing I remember reading in high school, which was in the 80s. So, yeah. So, we have Gwen suggesting that I add cherry pie filling, because I was talking about wanting to make crinkle cookies using cherry cake mix and chocolate cake mix and do like a dual flavor crinkle cookie. And since they didn't have cherry cake mix at the store, she's saying add cherry pie filling. I don't have that either on hand. I don't know how that would work with crinkle cookies. I'll have to look into that, because that might make for a nice, because this is using cake mix, but as a basis for cookies rather than cake. I'll look into that. That sounds like it might work. And Molly's Thoughts and Musings, new to the channel. Hello, Molly. Hi, just dropped by to subscribe and hit the like button. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I don't know if you have dropped by and left again, but if you're watching this back later, if you're still here, thank you so much. Appreciate it. I hope you enjoy my stuff, my live streams and videos and whatnot. So, oh my gosh, OMG. Oh, good golly, Miss Molly. So, she does indeed what happens is the stepsister, who is a real piece of work, she's like 18 and she's been a problem child, and she gets into this situation where she's dating a dude who is older than she is, who's married but doesn't have children. She says she's babysitting his children. Turns out he doesn't have children, but he is married, and they get into an accident, a car accident. He's killed and the stepsister's fine. Apparently she says that he was the one who was driving and that he was drunk, but Meg, our heroine, thinks that maybe her stepsister was the one who was driving. Anyway, she kind of Carol asks Meg to take the fall for her. You don't want my life to be ruined. Anyway, Carol has, as near as I can tell, no redeeming virtues whatsoever. And so Meg agrees to take the fall. And then the papers get a hold of this story because this dude who died was kind of wealthy, and Meg is short for Margaret, not Megan. Meg doesn't correct the record. And she basically deferred her education, or didn't go to art school the way she wanted to, because she had to raise her stepsister when her stepmother, her stepsister's mom, died when Meg herself was 17, and I guess Carol was 18. And anyway, so she instead got a job in the food service industry, and she ended up being the hostess at a very swanky restaurant, French restaurant in Florida, Miami area, I think. So when the papers start calling and trying to make a big scandal out of the whole thing, and it is pretty scandalous, and everybody thinks Meg's the one who, was running away with this guy, especially after his widow ends up unaliving herself in grief. Ana says, that sounds delicious. I assume you're talking about cherry chocolate crinkle cookies or adding cherry pie filling to cake mix. Those things do sound delicious. Not this. Anyway, so she's in all the papers, and of course everybody thinks she's the one who seduced the husband. And her boss, she tells her boss, he's like, you're bringing a lot of scandal around here. We're going to kind of need you to not work here anymore. And so she tells him the truth, that she had nothing to do with it, that it was, she's taking the rap. She's, well, not taking the fall because there's no criminal fallout because they managed, anyway. He says, so she says, it was the stepsister, she did it. And she's like, I'm just taking the blame so she won't ruin her life. And he says, oh, here's what she says. I'm pretty sure she was driving, and I know she was drinking. If they find out, they'll throw the book at her. She hasn't got a license, Okay, maybe they should throw the book at her. He studied her frowningly. Then you're a fool, he said heavily. If you refuse to set the record straight, I'll have to assume you don't wish to continue working for me because, frankly, I can't afford the bad publicity. In fact, if you don't speak out and clear the good name of the restaurant, I shall question your loyalty to me and our mutual interests. So, yeah, I think she is a fool. She is a fool because it's not like this is like one blemish in her relationship with her stepsister. Already before this happened, her stepsister was calling her stupid and ugly and on and on and on. So the stepsister, like I said, as near as I can tell, has absolutely no redeeming virtues whatsoever. So the stepsister moves out, and Meg goes off to get a job as a secretary. She gets hired by Simon, who's a novelist, and she falls for him, and he, manages to manipulate and gaslight her. That's partly why she falls for him. And they get married, and they go off to spend the winter at his cabin in Colorado. And it's like one of those things, we're up here and we can't leave until the snow melts in a few months. And that's when he drops the bomb that it was his sister who was married to the guy that he blames her for his sister's death. And he's decided to take his revenge by this intricate plot, but whereby he's married her and he's going to be mean to her, I guess. I don't know. It seems like a weird way to go about it. What's distracting is this is published in 1986. It's a Harlequin reprint of presumably a Mills and Boon book. The punctuation and spelling is kind of more Commonwealth standard as opposed to US standard. And the other thing is, I guess this was house style at the time for Mills and Boon and or Harlequin. Whenever they talk about a telephone as a phone, it's apostrophe PHONE because it's short for telephone. And it's like, it is so weird to see that used. It's like that was old fashioned even in the 80s, at least in the US. Anyway, it's totally unhinged. And let's see. I put some tabs on here. Let's see if they. So it's just insane. There's like this weird gaslighting that goes on. Like he says, while she's working for him in Florida, he's staying at like a apartment in a hotel, like with room service and everything. And he says, well, why don't you just stay with me at the hotel? He's got a suite that has more than one bedroom. And she thinks he's propositioning her, and because he basically makes her think that. And then when she says, I'm not going to do that. I don't want this job if that's how it's going to be. And he's like, oh, how dare you? And it's like, dude, come on, gaslighting weirdo. So anyway, so he's doing this elaborate revenge plot, like I said, where they're married and he's just going to treat her like garbage, I guess. That's about where I am in the book. I got to page, I think, 76. 80, page 80. So, yeah. So I got about 104 pages still to go. Oh my goodness. So that is the insanity with which we are dealing here. And by the way, now that he's revealed the plot, she tries to tell him that she wasn't the one, but he just does not want to hear it. He's made up his mind. He knows what's happening. And you can't tell him otherwise. Anus says, it's a cascade of red flags. Oh, yes. I mean, yes, really. I don't know why. Yes. But remember, this was before the internet, or at least before the internet was broadly available. So people were just super bored back then. So, just go ahead and like marry somebody for revenge. And also when they get to his cabin in Colorado, it turns out it's like really grody. The heating barely works. The refrigerator's filled with mold, and he's like, haha, you will now clean this place. And she's like, okay. He says that before he reveals that, as far as he's concerned, it's a revenge thing. And she's like thinking, well, it's kind of grody, but I love this dude and I don't mind being in a grody place if it's with him and I can clean things. And so, yeah, anyway, so it's like, I don't know, some kind of weird Cinderella deal or something. I'm not sure. I'm just waving it around because I like the way the tassel on the bookmark flips. Yoo-hoo. So, how'd everybody else's sprint go? Just giving anyone who wants to make a comment, a chance to do that before we jump into the next sprint. Oh, it's been overcast all day, and now it's starting to get pretty and sunny, and it's still kind of not super bright the way it sometimes gets in the winter, but we have this pretty blue sky and some nice sort of purpley gray smudges of clouds. It's really quite pretty. And let's see. So unless anybody has something they want to share, I will jump into the next sprint because I want to see like what happens next. I think we're supposed to have this like wish fulfillment moment where he treats her like garbage and then he falls for her even though he thinks she's a terrible person and he hates himself for falling for her, and then he gets some kind of external proof, like not her word for it but some sort of external proof that she was not the person who kind of had a hand in driving his sister to unalive herself, and then he's going to grovel and stuff. Gwen says, I'm reading Sense and Sensibility, but not loving or even liking it, but it's one of my favorite movies. Ana says, I got to page 167 and I'm angry that the adults aren't listening to the kid who has accurately identified every dino they have seen when he says he saw one that is where it's not supposed to be. Yes, well, I mean, that was like nobody believed what children had to say about anything in 1992, 1993. 1991. That time, children were not considered reliable narrators of their own experiences, from one who knows. Uh, by the way, it wasn't my own family that didn't believe me when I talk about things. It was other people. So I'm not casting aspersions on my own family. So, well, I'm sorry that Sense and Sensibility is not giving you the reading experience you would like, Gwen. I have no. I think the only thing I've ever read by Jane Austen was Northanger Abbey, which was like more of a that was different from her other books in many respects, including being kind of short. Anyway, so yes. So we are just like about to start the next sprint, which should take us up to the top of the hour, 45 minutes. I hope that's okay with everybody because in 45 minutes, I won't be able to finish it in 45 minutes, but I will be fairly close to the end. Anyway, that'll take us up to 4 p.m. Eastern. And then hopefully, like I said, I don't want it to run too long because I know a lot of people are going to be going to Tea and Biscuits at 7 p.m. Eastern. So I don't want to go too long, but I would like to get the book finished. Because, I mean, I do not want to set this down for a week and then have to come back because there's momentum. So we are sprinting until the top of the hour. And I will spill more tea because there will be more tea to spill at that time. So see you in about 45 minutes. Okay, it is 4 o'clock here in Connecticut. For some of you, it might be 3, 2, 1, 5, 5:30. And we had some comments during that sprint. Ana clocked out. She said she had tests to do. She got to page 181, so that's over 60 pages read so far. And talk to you later. Awesome. If you're watching this back later, thank you for stopping by. If you're not watching it later, still thank you for stopping by, I guess. Christina, I have that correct. It is Christina. BookTube Mama said, hi, Sock. Hi. And then she said, remember to hydrate. It's the pause that refreshes. Feed thyself, check the laundry, take meds, stretch, and show some love to the like button. Also, make sure you sub and ring that bell so you hopefully get notified. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And looks like, oh, yeah, okay. Kristen said, hey, Sock, I got my paperwork and badge done for my new job. I start Monday the 12th. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Congratulations. You have a few days to just kind of relax, kick back, and then on what is the 12th? Is that Monday? Yeah, Monday, which is right there on the screen. You'll be able to hit the ground running. You'll just be waving your badge around like nobody's business, and you'll be like, here's my badge. I am an authorized personnel. I actually finished The Winter Heart by Lillian Cheatham. This guy is a jackwagon. Okay, so he said he had absolutely no interest in having sex with her. Spoiler alert, they have sex. She's like, no, I don't really want to. And then he's like, aha, but behold the power that is my mighty sexual magnetism or something. And then she's like, okay. And then when they have sex for the first time, he realizes she's never had sex at all. This is her first time with anybody. And he just finds a way to make this like, oh, well, she was such a manipulative cheater that she didn't have sex with my brother-in-law just to manipulate him. And I don't know. And then she tries to get away. He stops that. Like, she enlists the help of a neighbor, and it's a guy who's just renting a neighboring cabin for the season while he finishes his dissertation. He's not a terribly old or powerful guy, but our little friend here, Mr. Simon, Mr. himself, is like, oh, if you help her, I will ruin it. Well, he gets her, he comes and he takes her aside and he says, if he helps you, if you use his help to get away, I will ruin him throughout the entire state. And since the dude is like, I think his dissertation has something to do with like state history or state politics or something. She's like, oh, okay, I'll go back with you. And then the evil stepsister Carol shows up. It turns out that he invited the evil stepsister Carol to come along. He is convinced that she cruelly abandoned the evil stepsister. But of course, that's not the case because she's not that kind of gal. And within like about 5 minutes, well, we later find out that within like 5 minutes, he realizes, oh, yeah, the stepsister really was the person who was responsible. And she, in case that wasn't enough, she actually kind of gives confirmation. But Meg does not realize that has happened. She finally manages to get away. She realizes she's pregnant. So she gets away. And eventually, I don't know, she sees a guy at a party and she thinks it's Simon, and her little heart goes pity pat, and she decides she should call him and tell him that she is pregnant. And so that, you know, he at least knows. She doesn't want to do the secret baby thing, which respect. And then when they talk it out, to his credit, at least this is what he says, and I have no reason not to believe him. I mean, he is jackwagon, but he says that even before he realized from talking to Carol that Meg herself was just like absolutely not the person he thought she was in terms of being responsible for like breaking up a family and his sister unaliving herself, he said he had already decided he didn't care, that he had fallen in love with her, and he didn't care what had happened in the past. So at least that's to his credit, but still, he's a jerk. I think that she probably should have just been like, yeah. The idea that people would be fighting over getting to get together with this dude. No, just no. Mm-mm, mm-mm. So I think that they will marry in 1986. Well, yeah, they'll marry in 1986. She'll have the baby, and probably, hopefully, within 10 years, she leaves him. Because, yeah, it's either that or he's going to leave her for a younger woman because he's just got that kind of energy to me. I don't mean to be cynical, but presenting him as a romantic hero is going to make me that way. So this was a unhinged drama. It was a dark romance without realizing it was a dark romance, which is true of many of these Harlequins from that era. So yeah, 10 out of 10 would recommend. Not really, but I feel like that's what I want to do. I want to be more positive this year. So I think from now on, when I do talk about these books during midweek motivation, it'll always be 10 out of 10 would recommend. So that's what I got up to. How's everybody else doing? I know it's a lot to process. Take your time. In terms of reading, I think for the rest of the day, I'll go back to Play Nice by Rachel Harrison, which is horror, haunted house kind of a deal. That's what I'll be reading for the rest of the day. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to make it to B's sprints on B's channel with B and also Tara and Tracy Sumner, novelist. Hopefully, but if I start to fall asleep, I'm just going to let it happen. I'm just going to let the sleep wash over in waves of relaxation and awesomeness. It clouded over again. The sky just looks like a really, now it's like mostly gray with a little bit of pink and some light. The light in Connecticut is just exquisite. A lot of painters have come here because of it. And it's very pretty, very watercolor, winter washed out. It's lovely. Lovely. Also, at the back of the book, they give you previews for coming attractions. Let me see. One of the books is one that I read fairly recently, Storm by Vanessa Grant. After being stranded by a fierce storm in the Queen Charlotte Islands, a reporter doubts herself, the hard-hitting pilot she desires, and her commitment to a childhood sweetheart. I read that book. I don't know. I think I might have actually read it during a midweek motivation. Because it was called Storm, I sent it along to Stormy, along with a couple of Candlelight Ecstasy romances. Oh, right. When he like confesses his love to her in like the last like page of the book, basically, he apologizes, darling. Will you ever forgive me for putting you through that, for doubting you? And her response is, how can I blame you? You were conditioned from the start to believe I was guilty. Why should you believe me rather than the police and the reporters? I confessed my guilt to them. I can't wonder at you finding it so hard to believe me later. I don't know why I have her sounding like Miss Piggy. I think probably because I imagine that this would be like, you know how Miss Piggy is an activist, a performer. And I think that this is like the kind of character she would play or something. I don't know. For some reason, Meg sounds like Miss Piggy. Anyway, it is just like 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Well, it's getting, I think I'm going to wrap it up unless somebody had something they wanted to say. Next week will be another unhinged category romance to be named later. And yes. Uh, as always, thank you for your attention. Please like, comment, share, subscribe if you enjoyed this. Orna, I am not the boss of you. If you're watching it back later, thank you for doing that. And I hope that you found this useful in some way. And I hope to see people next week. So it'll be 2 p.m. Eastern. As far as I know, there isn't anything that should cancel or delay it. So I will see you then. Again, thank you for joining me live or later. Bye.